Hey Pisces, this is your April 2023 reading using the tarot. So the end of March, beginning of April, there seems to have been a revelation that has caused you some sort of a pain. It could have been a betrayal. It could have been seeing the truth of a situation that you can't really look away from at this time, and that sucks. Or you could even be doubting yourself, which is even worse if you're still in this state of confusion, denial, or uncertainty about the truth of a situation. That seems to be sliced through as the month goes on. As we emerge past the Jupiter-Sun conjunction on 11th of April, which is going to be extremely disinfecting, it's going to be very clarifying and just very awakening. We step into Queen of Swords energy and end the month with an Ace of Pentacles. So the realer you keep it with yourselves and those around you, the more clarity you're going to gain, the more you're actually going to be able to see straight to the truth and straight to what you have been uncertain about. It's going to become even more clear to you. And the more real you keep it, the more handsomely you are rewarded, and the more things that are in alignment for you, be it job opportunities, be it connections, be it ideas, and be it pathways for you to step down, to walk along, they will be emerging for you because you are going to be in a place of peace and serenity and clear-headedness. But the beginning of the month, if not the end of March, has caused you, something has caused you pain. There has been tears shed. I even see this as shower crying sometimes, the Three of Swords with that rain falling, or a sense of like being defeated and just feeling like you don't understand, you don't get it, you don't know who you can trust. Can you trust yourself? Can you trust your own mind? That's really tricky. There's a lot of growth happening, even though the Three of Swords doesn't look like the most pleasant card. As we are tested in such a way, we are also growing through some of this pain. It's going to be up to you what you do with those swords. And from around the 10th of April onwards, I see you using this to your advantage, using the knowledge, using the information, the insight, the intuition to your advantage. You're giving up on some of the imaginative kind of, and I mean imagination is good, but in this case, when you're kind of creating scenarios, creating stories, creating like a playing out of very imaginative situations in your mind. The swords deal with minds. You are taking what's true and leaving behind what was projection and what was fantasy, even Pisces. And then by around the 10th of April onwards, you are very direct in your understanding. You're very direct in your approach. You see things clearly finally, because this has really been clouding your judgment lately. And I guess people have been saying things, whether they're meaning it or not, like you're taking everything as a sign. You are kind of taking what people say, that sometimes it's quite negative what people have to say, and that's just reinforcing, or it could be like confirmation bias for you. Okay, they said that, or look what I saw. That just affirms to me that that dreadful thing that I was thinking about was right. Or did I deserve that betrayal, or were they always dishonest? And this is speaking to a truth that you've now seen that can't really be ignored, but you don't want to. You want to get to the bottom of it, and I think that you will. And the more real you are and the more you keep it real, that's when you get those opportunities just honestly emerge for you. Like that imagery of, we see cloudiness in all of them, but the beginning of the month and the end of March is where the most cloudiness was in terms of clouding of judgment. You're sort of sitting with that and seeing past a lot of it. There was truth in it though, Pisces, and if not truth about somebody else, truth about yourself that you're able to see now. And this queen has their hand extended. To me, that's their hand extending through the clouds, through the cloudiness of judgment and not being able to use your discernment and not knowing if you could trust your own mind or those people around you. she offers you a big pentacle. You want to take this because it feels so right, and it's your reward. You earned it, and it presents a pathway forward for you that is the right one to be on. The Knight of Pentacles coming flying out, and the King of Pentacles and the Ten of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Maybe you didn't know where to put your money. Maybe you didn't know if you could trust certain investments or advice around finances. Maybe you didn't really know if you could trust your boss, your lender, your landlord. Maybe you didn't know if you could trust even people in your own family, people that are really established and seen to be quite authoritative and even expert. You know, maybe you were not trusting in the expert advice you were getting. It just didn't feel right to you. So Knight of Pentacles says, take it at your own pace and find your own way of figuring that out. Maybe you didn't trust the person who was, I don't know, trying to sell you something. Was it a car? Was it an ideology? Was it an idea? The Three of Swords. Let's clear up the pain that you were moving through, the sorrow even, the shower crying, late March into early April. It was almost like you were spiraling, and some of the most intense emotions were resurfacing from you. It almost is like you're at a point in your evolutionary consciousness and your soul's evolution, which is requiring a level up at this point. And before being able to do that, there has to have been a massive release for you. The Page of Swords, the King of Cups. That's that watery energy of your stepping into greater command, a greater sense of who you are, a greater control over your emotions and your reactions. The Page of Swords, certain conversations, and I guess that this was a triggering conversation. Either you said something that you lived to regret, either you said something in a panic or a spiraling moment, or something was said either in passing in your company, which you internalized very deeply, and it really got a wound there for you. It rubbed salt in a wound that hadn't healed. Well, how can a wound heal how can it heal until those swords are taken out? That's going to be painful, but it's through this pain that you felt that through something somebody said, or an idea that you caught, or something, you caught a look, you caught something, and you're an intuitive person, Pisces, so there is something to it, and it's put you on this hell-bent mission to get to the bottom of something and to really cut through the bullshit and cut through any cloudiness that is fogging your judgment. You caught something, you caught a look, you caught something that felt like there was something deeper to it, something more. And even if it wasn't that, somebody could have not even been addressing you directly. They could have spoken to somebody in your company. You maybe didn't even know this person. They could have even been a stranger to a certain extent, or an acquaintance. And they said something that just sent you over the edge into the spiral and into your head. You're learning how to get out of your head and become more focused on moving through the heart space, or at least tapping into feeling the feelings here. And the King of Cups is this breakthrough of, now you've a hold on your emotions, and that's going to be a great place for you to start to see the truth. Because when your emotions are clouded, or when you're kind of experiencing more of a roller coaster of highs and lows, or ups and downs, or choppy waters like these, it may be very hard to see things clearly. But this Queen of Swords seems like she's on a very stable foundation. Her feet are planted on the ground. Even with this King of Cups, like, their feet are kind of hanging over the edge and the water is rocking underneath them. The Page of Swords, they're not even really level on the ground. One foot is up higher than the other, so you can't see the situation clearly. It's been painful, so no doubt it's triggered a wounding in you. I've been reading a lot about past life experience recently. I mean, always, it's a fascination of mine. But I've been reading somebody who's quite, prominent in their research. They say that like 80% of our current life behavior is actually coming from past lives. we have to strive all the time to get to know our true self better and better with every lifetime. The more we become conscious, the more we get out of living through survival mode. And let's face it, the majority of the population lives in survival mode. We all are learning to become conscious beings that take accountability, that can do the work to get to the root of their own triggers and their own projections. And it's difficult, and that's probably why this has been difficult for you, because it's been rehashing really outdated ways of thinking and believing and relating. They don't fit you anymore, Pisces. I know they can be an easy place to default to, and sometimes chaos and uncertainty can even feel more safe and secure to us, depending on our own upbringing or our own conditioning. But we have to take full responsibility for our own healing. And as we do that, we improve the quality of our own life, and of course for the collective as well. The King of Cups, you're being called to do this work. It's not easy, but it's so rewarding. And the King of Cups is telling me that you have grown so much emotionally, so much so that many of your fears, many of your anxieties, they don't even really resonate with you anymore, and you don't even really recognize them. You may default there because it's pattern, because it's habit, and because it's known to you. But fundamentally, I think you know that you're ready for a new outfit, right? Outfit change, scene change. And the beautiful part about that is we can change the narrative at any time. We're the person writing the script. The Queen of Swords. What is the truth that is trying to reach you right now? What are you seeing clearly? And in what ways are you becoming more direct, more responsible for your own healing? We're all responsible for that. And it's a blessing, and it can feel like a curse. I know that well, but it truly is a blessing. When we spiritually awaken or deepen our consciousness and sort of expand our consciousness, I would say, it's not like the whole world changes, but our perception of it does. And we'll still suffer, we'll still experience pain. That doesn't go away. We're still a human being after that, after all. But we are operating from a bird's eye view, a higher vantage point with greater understanding of ourselves and of others. So it is a blessing overall. The Seven of Wands. You deserve to have this. You deserve to be there. And the Death card. And you deserve to let go of what doesn't serve you anymore. The bottom of the deck, we have the Hanged One. So around the crown chakra of the Hanged One, oftentimes we see this called the Hanged Man, same vibe. This is going to be your awakening. This is the crown chakra being illuminated and enlightened. You're not reaching, well, some of you might be reaching levels of enlightenment that, you know, we see with the Buddha and things like that. If you are, amazing. But for the most part, most of us are not going to get there. And we have signed up for a human experience. And we may be very enlightened and lighter bodied in other dimensions on other timelines, but right now, at least, we're living a very human experience. But we can alleviate our own suffering, and we can enlighten, and we can ascend. We certainly can. The Seven of Wands is any resistance that you feel towards perhaps proving yourself to people, proving people right, proving people wrong, I would say. The Seven of Wands is a need to be told, you were right, Pisces, you were right all along. But sometimes you're not going to be able to get that from certain people. Knowing that you're in the right place should be enough. Standing on the level that you're at, like this person here in the Seven of Wands, you're going to have opposition. You're going to have people that think you're crazy even. You're going to have people that don't get it. Fighting them off with a stick, I mean, you can do that. It could be exhausting after a while, especially if there's 6 on 1. It doesn't even seem fair. Maybe even surrendering, which is the Death card, to knowing that you can see the truth. You can see past a lot of what is deceptive. That's a blessing in and of itself. But the Death card, the first major arcana card we're seeing laid out on the table at least, is the surrender now. Something needs to change, and this is the outgrowing. You could be dealing with a Scorpio or a Libra at this time. You could be dealing with the cycle that has been emerging for you since November of last year, 2022, around an eclipse portal that was happening then. Something has needed to change since then, and you were almost in death throes then, but for whatever reason, life got in the way. You kept hanging on to this, an idea, an opinion, a way of life, a way that you kind of have sort of set your brain to think that this is always how it's going to be, or that's just how I am. It could have been a job that you held on to for too long, a connection, a relationship. It could have been a circumstance, but it seems like you knew then that it was going to be outgrown by you soon on some level, and now you're just really ready for that. As we approach the next eclipse, since October of last year and November of last year, that's happening on the 20th of April. So let's clear up what's coming up around that eclipse. Your blinders are off, you can see your path forward, and you see what the next chapter of your life looks like. Sure, it may be a long chapter of your life that's emerging over the next 15-20 years, but so much so that an old chapter, an old way of being has been lived out now. It was meant for you, but the pain that you felt in May and April, late March, early April, could have just been that, like pulling the knives out of the heart. It hurts, of course, but you knew that that was over. And there's going to be like, I miss that part of your life. You miss that way of being, but it is over and something new is emerging for you now. And you can actually visualize that and see that for yourself. It may not happen overnight, but the Queen of Swords can imagine it and see things clearly now without a lot of the emotional baggage and pain that was existing before. You kind of transcended, and at least, well, maybe not transcended, but you've transmuted some of that into motivation to rewrite certain storylines. For some of you, I'm getting a message that you're a writer that has come to the end of a project and there's resistance around letting that go. That can be coming up in any other way. You have been nurturing something in your life, a business model, a business plan. You could be selling that on, you could be giving it up, and it's just the resistance to let go of something that you've loved, that you've cared about, that you've really taken good care of, and now it's time to see a new future for yourself and a whole new goal, basically. Let's look at the April 20th eclipse and clarify the Ace of Pentacles, which is emerging around that time. The Lover's card, beautiful. And the King of Swords, great, because this is the emerging of the new you, the leveled up, the completely mature version. We're just leveling up from Queen of Swords to King of Swords, from the Page of Swords that we saw. This is your journey, Pisces. You're growing up, you're maturing, you're shedding, you're stepping from the young and youthful childlike part of yourself. Even if you've been an adult for quite some time, you're even moving past those fundamental stages of some of your growth into a very refined and a little bit more permanent. We're always changing, of course, but for a while, you're going to be stepping into something that feels like this is going to be you for a while. These are the clothes that you're going to not outgrow for quite some time. You can chop and change, and that's the great thing. You can try on different hats, or in this case, different crowns. But there's a stepping into shoes that you're going to fill for a while, and you're going to be walking in for a while, I sense. And the April 20th eclipse, which happens in the first sign of the zodiac, Aries, signifies renewal, a complete life renewal. So to really embark on a path of alignment, of love, of connection, of ascension, we're going to be taking that pathway for a while, but we're going to be led to a place that we feel very comfortable staying in for a long time. We feel comfortable laying roots here, being here, falling in love here, being with our soulmate in this place, creating a little slice of heaven on earth. Soulmates can be relationships with a lover, of course, but they can also be with family. They can also be with colleagues even at times. They can be with our business partners. They can be with our best friends. And it's a place that you want all these people that you love to be with you in. And it does look like heaven on earth. And that is what awaits for you, quite honestly, is what I'm seeing. The pathway that emerges for you, you step into the role of not, like, the kings can be quite leading, quite commanding, but you don't even really have that sense of responsibility, all of you. Some of you will be a real leader in this kind of journey into the new heaven on earth, perhaps. But some of you are just gonna just be there, and just your presence is enough, and just you elevating yourself and your way of existing is just enough to help create a new paradigm. Pluto moves into Aquarius, and this is a whole new shift for everybody. This King of Swords is associated with Aquarius. Aquarius is associated with humanitarianism, power to the people, freedom of expression, and it brings things together. It innovates, it pushes things forwards, and towards something that's beautiful, that's pure, that's blessed, that's stable, and that's aligned for you. Pluto moved into Aquarius on March 23rd, 24th, and we haven't seen this for, roughly 250 years. So we're all co-creating this heaven on earth. And Pisces, you have a big role to play. You're the last sign of the zodiac. You incorporate so much wisdom and healing energy, and I really see you putting it to good use. But you had to remember at the beginning of the month and at the end of March, like, you may have thought, oh, I've ascended, I've leveled up, I'm way out there on a higher dimension already. In fact, the pain that you can feel, the suffering that you feel, the suffering that you cause in others, that's a very humble reminder, right? That in fact, you're still human. You're still human out here, and thank God, that's what we signed up for. So we are going to be really embodying the best qualities of humanity, hopefully, but it starts with ourselves. And it starts with being the change that we want to see in the world. Romantic opportunities, to fall in love, to deepen the relationship that you're already in, to commit, to grow together, to develop with somebody that you deeply care about. It doesn't necessarily have to be a lover. It could be a business partnership or somebody you just have such a clear goal with. It could be your soulmates that you incarnated for this ride with, and you're all here together to celebrate what's to come and how far you guys have already come, and to sort of witness each other become masters of your own destinies. It's a beautiful thing. All right, Pisces, take care. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, I do have actually a love reading on my Patreon. If this sounds like it might be about a relationship, I'll leave that link down below. Talk to you soon. Remember, Pisces, I keep getting these downloads. I'm like, that you do have a very healing presence, and that you are fortunately ready to step into a role of maybe a spiritual teacher, and somebody that can kind of help raise the vibe all together. Stunning. Bye, Pisces. See you soon.